Justin Bieber became an international superstar. He was a little boy from Canada whose mom says he was full of energy, personality, and of course, a lot of musical talent. And while his rise to fame may be remarkable, so is the story of his mother, Pattie. She battled abuse, drugs, alcohol, and depression, all before she gave birth to Justin at the age of 18. Now she's opening up about all of that in a new book, Nowhere But Up, the story of Justin Bieber's mom, Pattie. Nice to have you here. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
You didn't have to write this book. You could have just gone on and kept these stories between you and close friends and family members. Why did you write it?
I feel like I have a story to tell, and other people's stories really helped me get through some hard times. And so because of Justin, I have over 1 million Twitter followers, and they call me Mom. And just knowing that I'm a role model to so many of them, I wanted to share my story because unfortunately too many people are suffering the same sort of pain.
But when you decide to do something like this, the first thing you have to do is you've got to talk to your son. Because some of these stories about, struggle with acceptance, struggle with drugs and alcohol, struggles with sexual abuse. I know he didn't know for a long time. So you had to sit down and say, look, Justin, the world's going to hear about these things. How did you break the news to him?
Well, I've been sharing my story long before Justin was Justin Bieber. And the first time I let him hear my story, he was around 12 years old. And so I prepped him a little bit and then, spent some time afterwards letting him ask questions and talking about it.
So, for example, the story of sexual abuse that you detail in this book, which occurred, you say, in your life between the ages of 4 and 10, how do you sit down with a son and have that discussion?
It's tough. I think that, you just have to have those tough conversations with your kids. I think that I've always been open with him and asked him a lot of questions and prepped him when he was younger, so.
One of the other things you write about very openly in this book is, first of all, I thought this was somewhat amazing, certainly touching. You talk about this abuse that you suffered, and at the end of the book you say, to the abusers, I forgive you. That couldn't have been easy, and why did you feel that way? Tell me about it.
It's been a crucial part of my healing, of not staying stuck in that place, and it starts with a choice. It's not an overnight process. It's not an overnight process. It's a decision and many decisions that follow to just, as part of my healing process, to let go. It's so important. Forgiveness is such a huge part of healing.
You also write about Justin's father, Jeremy Bieber, and you say you two had a very troubled relationship. Two very difficult people involved in tough circumstances. But you say, how on earth did these two troubled teenagers create the most breathtaking baby in the entire universe? When you look at Justin, what do you see that is purely you, and what do you see that is purely his dad?
I don't know. I think he's a good mix of the two. He's got a good-looking dad, and I think he's definitely takes after his looks as well. He's got his dad's musical talent for sure. His father and his father's family is extremely gifted musically, and I think I have some talent, but he's definitely gifted.
I know there is a mama bear in you, and as Sarah Palin would call it, the mama grizzly that comes out every once in a while. I remember that we had Justin here on the show right about the time those stories were going around. That woman accused him of fathering her baby, which turned out to be not true. But the mama grizzly in you, or mama bear in you, had to be pretty angry during that time. How'd you deal with it?
It's frustrating that somebody can just make something up, make an accusation, and it affects the way the whole world sees you. And it hurts me to see him suffering through things like that, but it comes with the territory.
At the time that story broke, he already had managers and PR people and record labels and all that, but did he ever come home to Mom?
Sure.
And talk about it?
Sure, absolutely. He's got great people around him, but it doesn't ever replace Mom and son.
And what kind of advice did you give him at that time?
Well, time will tell, and just to hold his head high. I know that, taking the test, he shouldn't have had to prove his innocence, but, you know, it is what it
It's
is.
the world we live in. When he was interviewed by Kathy Lee, he said that he thinks your book is going to change some people's lives.
I hope so.
In what way?
I talk a lot about the struggles and things that I've overcome, and if I can overcome them, and if I can get through and get to healing, anybody can. And it's not about me having a pop star for a son. It's about getting healing and working through some tough things and not staying stuck.
Pattie Millett, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And just ahead, we're going to be joined by Martha Stewart with a new twist on a French classic.